Staff Sergeant Kenneth E.Wall, United States Army Air Corps, World War II. Had the great pleasure and opportunity of meeting Kenneth Wall. I was in New England in 2009 with Methuen, Massachusetts, February the 6th, and I met Ken Wall. What a great man, what a great story he tells. He was a nose gunner on a B-24 Liberator, a bomber. Those of you who know your history. Had the B-17s, B-24s, B-29s. And he was a nose gunner. This is a rare story. Oh my gosh, I think this is probably one of the few nose gunner or machine gunners on board an aircraft that I have in my series. But he served with the 828th Bomb Squadron, 485th Bombardment Group, which is part of the 15th Air Force. He received 4 Purple Hearts during his service in the military. He also served in Korea with the United States Air Force, and just one of my unsung heroes, and just so happy and to share this story with you today on my Voices of History YouTube channel and on my Voices of History radio program. So, wow, what can I say about Ken? He lived to be 90, almost 91. He passed away 2 days before his 91st birthday in January of 2011. He passed away January the 18th. His birthday was January 20th. And he also worked as a police officer in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Retired in 1984. So God bless this man. What a tremendous story. And you get to hear it and watch it today. This is so cool, man. Some of you are really getting into this and you're binge watching these videos and you're just learning so much about our history. And that's where it's at, folks. History is best learned from those who were there. I want to thank Joe Hengler for making it possible for you to hear Kenneth Wall's story today. Joe, God bless you. I salute you. I thank you for your service to our country in sponsoring these stories, working with our veterans, and your belief in our veterans. And I appreciate it. I know many others will appreciate it too. And I know you have a great interest in World War II, the bombers and those who flew in World War II. And here's your story, brother. It's been a while. Got it out of my archives, and here we go. Folks, if you'd like to sponsor a story like Joe has, there's information in the video description of this video, below the video, the information. Also on my website, larrycappetto.com. Click on the link at the top of the page that says Sponsor a Vet. You'll see pictures of my veterans. Just include their name in your sponsorship, and I'll do the rest. If you'd like to donate to my work, there's information always in the comment section of this video. So, okay, man, folks, men, women all around the world, so many great comments coming in from these videos. I hope you take time to read them. I'm also producing some YouTube shorts, which are 60 seconds or less, little clips from some of my interviews, and there's a whole world of opportunity out there. It's reaching a whole different audience. I don't think you get notified when I upload a YouTube short, so that's a bummer. You're a subscriber, you should get notified, but just letting you know, those are also on my website, on my YouTube channel. There's a link that says shorts. You can, if you want to see which ones I've done. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for watching and listening to my Voices of History radio station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I love Voices of History radio. I can't say enough about it. Tune into it, folks. You won't be disappointed. It's just so wonderful to have that living history in the palm of our hands. I love it. Absolutely love it. I thank God that I'm serving my country through the lens of my camera, serving my country and my God. It's just been an awesome honor and a privilege. And again, I want to thank all those of you out there that have subscribed to this channel and are sharing these videos. So God bless you. I'll talk to you again. Enjoy Ken's story. You and me both, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What year did you go into the military, Ken?
In 1943.
Were you drafted?
I was drafted.
Do you remember where you were when Pearl Harbor was attacked and how you heard the news?
I was working at a Chevrolet Buick dealership in Lawrence,
Okay.
which is extinct.
No more there, huh?
No more. No, it's all apartment houses.
And how did you hear the news of the attack?
It was on the radio.
Do you remember how you felt or what they? Did you have
How I felt, I said, well, I says, sooner or later they're going to get me. And I went down to the Navy, and they threw me out. I went to the Army Signal Corps, and they threw me out. And I said, well, that's 2 out of 3. The third is going to get drafted. So shortly after that, I had taken an exam, and I got a job at the Portsmouth Navy Yard as a shipbuilder trainee. And I spent quite a bit of time there making sub-assemblies for submarines. The torpedo doors, the 6 doors on the 4 in the front and 2 in the back, I should say, and the carriers inside where they used to put torpedoes, and a guy's bunk on top of it, and he'd crawl in and they'd put another torpedo on top of that one there. So it was kind of cramped quarters.
Where did you go to your basic training at?
My 1/2 day of basic training was at Miami Beach, Florida.
Half a day?
Half a day.
Well, how's that?
Well, while I was working at the Navy Yard, I was working on one of those cradles, what you'd call it. And in the process of turning it over, I had to connect a wire cable to a hoist. Those days they didn't have the emergency switch.
Okay.
When I got it part way up, the cable snapped. One part of it came out of the hook. The cradle fell off and it broke all my toes on the left foot. So I ended up in the hospital there for quite a while.
That was when? In 43?
It was in 42.
42.
1942. And I got out of the hospital. I went back to work in the office where I was. They didn't trust me around this heavy metal stuff. And I was up there as assistant timekeeper, sorting out time cards for everybody.
So now you went into the Air Corps, the Army Air Corps?
I was drafted.
But it wasn't called the Air Force, was
It was
it?
U.S. Army Air Corps, yeah.
Now, where did you have your training to train as a nose gunner?
Let's see, my training first was for armament up in Denver, Colorado. And we had the 45, 20 millimeter, 50 caliber machine guns, bomb sights. In fact, my partner that worked with was in the same unit, and we worked next to each other. We used to take the Sperry bomb sight apart and drive the guy crazy, because we'd put it back together again, of course. And then I finished the training there, and they sent us all down to Harlingen, Texas, where I got flight time, target practice on a T-6 single-engine aircraft, and finished there. And I had a notice came up from headquarters down there. I was held over for a short span, and they said, you're going up to school again. So I went, they I went from there to Shepherd Field, and they assembled a whole bunch of us fellows, and they gave us more testing and what have you. And I ended up going to school for navigation up in Oklahoma City. And I didn't finish there because I fell in the shower on a slippery tile, and I landed on my back and gave it a good whomp. So I was in the hospital 3 or 4 weeks, and when I got back, we all had the news. The previous class to us wasn't shipped out; they were still there. So they said, "Well, the program is slowing down, so we're going to get thrown someplace else." Well, anyway, let's see, where did I go from there? I went to Lincoln, Nebraska for replacement. And there we took some more tests, and we were assigned to, I was assigned to a tent, and in the tent was Rex Stanley and Leo and Bill Lancaster. So that was our nucleus for the enlisted men part of the crew. So eventually we got two engineers and what else? That was six. That was 6 of us.
Where did you get your pilots?
Who? Who'd I miss?
Tom.
Oh no, that was separate. Oh, then we met our pilot, and he was selecting who we wanted for co-pilot, navigator, and bombardier. So then we all got together. They shipped us all to Pueblo, Colorado. We took all our training, up for overseas training, and we all got to fly a B-24, all of us. And I used to fly it down when they were when we were on the gunny range for the ball turret. Everybody wanted to get down in there and shoot it off. So I said, okay. I'm up in the co-pilot seat, and the captain says, okay, let's go around again. So make a fast turn, go down again, shoot some more, somebody else come up, the co-pilot come up, and I got out of the seat, of course, but I still flew the plane. So then we finished we didn't finish. Our first engineer was continually getting airsick, so he begged off. And then we got a replacement, Phil, who was on his second tour. He had just finished one in Alaska. He was lucky to get down here where it was warm. So anyway, the whole crew was together when we finished at Pueblo. They put us on a train. They took us to Topeka, Kansas. We got a plane. We checked it out. And everybody had their equipment. And as we started out, we were there about a week doing tests on the plane, seeing if it was okay and all that. And the plane was manufactured by Ford. So it was pretty good. It was it would fly itself, put it that way. You know, you trim it up and it would fly itself. After about a week, we got orders and we're going towards the European theater of operations.
Now,
Well,
are you trained on an aircraft at this time? I mean, you've already been trained on a B-24, or have you ever been in a B-24 yet?
We
Mike moved a little bit. So have you been on a B-24, or you mentioned a T-6. What's a T-6?
the T6 is a what do you call it?
A training plane?
It's a training plane. Yeah. The pilot was a staff sergeant, and it was a two-seater. It looked like a Zero. That's what they in the movies. That's what they use for Zeros. Pilot in the front, and I was in the back with a flexible gun, shooting at targets, towed targets and whatever. You shoot for score. You have a certain color dye on the nose of your ammunition, and when it hits the target, they count how many times you hit. I was real good. Getting back to Pueblo, the first time I ever was in the 24 was there. Okay, the pilot showed us exactly what to do to fly the thing, from takeoff to landing.
How many crew members on a B-24?
There was 4 officers and 6 enlisted men.
So 10.
10.
So that picture we scanned, there was a crew, one of your crews?
Yeah, the before picture was the 10, and the after picture was the 9 after we lost our navigator, because he didn't finish with us. He was on our 13th mission or something like that there. He was injured the same day that I was.
Well, let's talk about some of the missions. Now, you flew 35 missions?
35 combat missions, yeah.
Is there 1 or 2 missions that were tougher than the others? Do you remember? Can you take me on a mission? Tell me what you did.
I can take you on one mission, a real hairy one.
Is there a flight briefing in the morning?
The flight, every 5 o'clock in the morning, you're up, breakfast, go down to the briefing. The crew has the officers on one side and enlisted men on the other side, so everybody knew what was going on. And on the wall up in the front was a big map of Germany, from the combat zone, northern Italy, all the way up through to Berlin, and over to France and over to Russia on the other side. So there's a curtain over the front. So the CEO stands up and he says, well, this is the briefing for today. And he pulls a string and it opens up and everybody goes, oh. So we knew it was going to be a hairy flight that day. And so anyway, we briefed. The navigator got his information. The pilot and co-pilot got all their flimsies. The bombardier got his flimsy, and the engineer got his flimsy of what the conditions were. And we all went down to the plane. We all got dressed in our cold weather stuff. We had our underwear, woolen underwear, our ODs, old ones, the OD shirt, wool shirt. And on top of that, we had put our electric suit, and then over that we had the heavy padded pants and jacket. The pants and jacket, and our helmet with our earphones and that. Our oxygen mask was something that we kept with us all the time. See, what else? We get in the plane, we check out our position, and I would not I would not stay in the nose. I would come back out and sit on the flight deck until we were actually flying, and then I'll go back up and climb into my little cage, my compartment.
Wow, so you're the pilot and co-pilot, navigator up here, and you're down below in that little turret?
No, the pilot and co-pilot and the engineer, the radio operator, the top turret gunner are on the flight deck right there.
Okay.
And then in front of them, on the lower part of the front,
Yeah.
is the navigator and the bombardier. But with those two, it's kind of crowded. So about 7,000 feet, I would crawl into my turret and stay there,
And where's your turret at?
up in the nose.
Okay, that's what I thought. And you've got like a bubble canopy or
I am a big plexiglass canopy.
Is it bulletproof?
You're kidding. No, far from it. And in front of me was what they call a gun sight.
So what are you shooting at? Other airplanes or what?
Me,
Yeah.
I never shot my guns in combat. I never had to. We were lucky. Other guys had to, yes, but I never had to.
So why was this mission hairy? What were you doing?
We were going to go to Vienna to bomb a big oil refinery and storage area, which is right next to a POW camp. So we start off, we go leave the hard stand, we taxi up to the takeoff point, rev the engines up, check them, see if they're all set, and a signal from the tower, we start taking off. We'd fly out 15 minutes and make a U-turn, come back over the field, and by that time, all our 10 planes from our one squadron are in one group. The rest of the squadrons are coming along the same way. And we rendezvous with whoever is leading the force that day. We go up, fly up the Adriatic, right up by Venice, right up into Austria. And this day, we were approaching Vienna, and we had not reached what they call the IP, initial point. This is the point where everybody turns to a certain direction for a bombing run. Well, before we even got there, we ran into heavy, intense, and accurate flak. And that is when my turret was destroyed. The mechanism that I was sitting on hopped and turned, and with that, the doors on my back of my support doors, one of them was open, the other was closed. And when it did that, I lost my electricity. So I'm sitting there, and the turret is turned. The canopy is blown away. My gun sight disintegrated into nothing. I was all cut up about the face. I sat out there, and we went through the bomb run, and I'm sitting there, and I'm nice and warm. I'm shaking like mad. I'm freezing. I'm freezing. I'm getting colder and colder and colder. After a while, you stop shaking. I don't know why. But anyway, went up to the bomb run, and returned to the base, and back at the hard stand is when they took me out of the turret. After all that time, and they found out. They looked at me, and they said, "Well," he said, I was lying on the ground on a heated suit, and the guy is looking at me, and he says, "Hey, this guy's dead. His eyes just froze open like that." And somebody else says, "I don't know. Let's see anyway." So they turned up the heat on the thing, and the ice in my eyes loosened up, and I started blinking, and I half woke up, and I said, "Where am I anyway?" He said, "Well, you're back at the base." I said, "Oh, that's nice. Where's the ground? I'm going to feel it." But that was the worst one we ever had, that I ever had. Guys had worse than I did, but
what group were you with? Air Force, Air Corps group, bomber group, squadron?
Well, the 55th Wing, the 485th Bomb Group, 828th Squadron.
Is that like the 8th Air Force? Or
No, 15th.
was it 20 below zero?
Oh, it was a lot colder than that. It was registered 40 below
How long were you up there with that cold temperature?
until we come over the Alps.
5 minutes, an hour, 6 hours?
Let's see.
Well, 10 minutes.
Oh, about 3 hours. 3 hours or so. Still.
Wow. Now, did you bomb that refinery? Did you guys hit your
Oh yeah,
target?
oh yeah. Man,
Do you,
We
do you
went-
see it blow up?
did I see it? I didn't see anything.
How about the navigator? Could he see it?
No. After we drop our bombs, we can't see where they're going.
Yeah. How do you know you
Big-
hit him?
How do I know? Somebody in the back of us says, "Oh, you did a good job. You missed them."
So there can't be any cloud cover.
No cloud cover. No.
To me, that would be rare in that part of the country to not
Well,
have clouds.
Well, we've had times that we've had cloud cover, but we didn't have radar. You know, the primitive radar that we had, and we'd have to go to an alternate target. And usually it was an alternate target was a major rail line crossing, or some additional war storage or something like that, marshalling yards and things.
So how many bombs would you carry on a B-24?
It all depends on the weight of the bombs. We carried 6,000 pounders
6? Wow.
and 250 pounders, a whole mess of those. I couldn't count them because we had 2 Bombays and that there. We had fragmentation bombs, and every once in a while we drop a blue one.
Now, what about some of the other flight crews you were around during any of this time? Did you lose crews? Did people get shot out of the air by anti-aircraft, or did
Oh,
you lose
yes.
anybody at all in that group?
We've had, not that I know of, they were shot out of the air when I was there. We had a lot that had major damage that had to land somebody up someplace else.
Okay.
A lot of guys were injured, minor, and they took them to Barry and did what they had to do. But before I finished, I had to fly with a different crew, and they were bitches, I should say. All they did was bitches at each other. They were always yelling, "Captain, you gotta come down here to the waist. This guy won't do. What are you supposed to be doing?" And on the intercom all the time. I said, that's it for me. So when I got back, I went up to the orderly room. I said, look at that. I said, I don't care.
What?
I won't fly with them again.
Well, Ken, you mentioned your navigator was injured when you were. Where were you hurt? What is this the mission?
Just my face and my low temperature. But
What happened to this navigator?
the navigator was flying in the plane just in front of us. And the same bunch of flak, which is heavy, intense, and accurate, hit his turret, and he had a hunk of his leg taken out. So they finished the bomb run. They took him back to the hospital in Barrie.
Yeah.
So they had a nice hospital there.
Well, this has been a lot of years ago, over 60 years. Do you still think about the war?
Oh yeah. I think about it a lot.
Are the memories kind of fading though, or is it something that a lot of times you go through something and you put it out of your mind, or has it always been a part of your life after the war too?
It's always been a part. Let's see. I don't mind, speaking of war, I don't mind watching war pictures or anything like that there. I've read Band of Brothers,
Yes.
and I'm going to read it again because I got a big kick out of the fellow that one of the ground crewmen. They were out in Africa, I think, someplace, and they were moving. So we went out to the motor pool and he swiped a motorcycle, a Harley Davidson, and he took it up to England. But he had to surrender it because the CEO was kind of a hard-nosed guy, put it that way. But I put when I was at the group, in our squadron, I said, gee whiz, it's awful hard riding on the back end of a truck. And so I said, well, okay. the British were what they call junk collectors. You know, they go around, they pick up everything that was loose, including some of the stuff that's really good. So anyway, I went down to the dump and I said, look at all this stuff. And I said, how about some of this stuff? He said, well, anything you can carry, you can have. So I said, well, start with a frame, the engine and transmission, wheels. That's about all you need. So I eventually got all pieces together. And the only thing I didn't have was a battery, but I got one eventually. Moonlight requisition. So anyway, we had, I had that, and we used to put myself and 2 other guys on it. We'd take off down to Barrie and ride around a while, and have fun. But let's see, what else?
Well,
Oh yeah,
let me ask you now. You were how many months were you overseas?
the end of September of '44 until April of '45. Not too long.
So April of '45.
Yeah.
So where were you when the war ended? Then were back home or what?
I was going through the going through the Strait of Gibraltar on a troop ship. A SS Mariposa, the Matson line out of the Pacific. So I was going home. I was finished. But
You'd had enough of that, huh? That was enough?
Had enough of that. But anyway, we had to spend the winter there at Venosa, which is the name of the town right next door. In fact, I brought a little brochure that showed about the town itself. Somehow or other, there was an accident down in Barrie at the docks, and we didn't get our blankets, we didn't get our sleeping bags for the winter. So the medics came up through, and they said, well, we have enough to give somebody blankets and somebody sleeping bags. So I said, okay, so when you come back again, we'll let you know. Well, anyway, I said, those aren't going to keep us warm enough. So anyway, I got a bright idea. I went down to the barrel dump, and I picked out a barrel that had no bungs in it. And I said, well, this would make a good stove. So I took it down to the line, and I brought it into the burner, the torch burner. It burns metal. And I says, when you cut off the bottom third of this barrel, he says, where'd you get it? I says, I got it up at the barrel dump. Oh, he says, you sure it's empty? I said, well, as I rolled it all the way down here, there must be nothing in it. So anyway, he says, okay. So we stuck the flame in the big bung. Nothing happened. I said, okay, let's go. So put it in the middle of the tent, and I'm sitting on it, and as he's burning, I'm rolling it along. You get about a third done, me and the barrel out through the side of the tent. Jet job. It swept that place as clean as a tile floor. Anyway, we finished cutting it. I had the top for the stove, and I had the bottom for a tub. So, down the line, I found a piece of galvanized pipe. So I just took it to the instrument guys. I said, look at this. It says, drill me 4 holes in this piece of pipe. And I marked them. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm making a stove. He said, I'm going to keep warm this winter. So I took it back to the welder, the burner, and he welded off the one end of it. I said, now, I want you to get it hot enough to bend it in a U shape. So that was done. And I brought it back to all the stuff back to the tent. And when the guy saw me bringing the stuff in, he says, holy cows, you're moving the junkyard in on us. I said, well, I said, you can leave it outside and somebody will steal it on you. So anyway, I got that done. And I went down to a wrecked aircraft, and I got an oxygen bottle. And I took it down the line. I said, cut off the top of I need that for a guard on my stove. So I had them weld the 2 pieces together. I had a fitting to put line on. And I said, now I need so I went down to the barrel dump again. I got a whole 55-gallon drum, rolled it up to the tent. I got a bunch of boxes that bomb fins come in, and made a stack of them, put the barrel on top, and I said, now I've got to get some lime. So I went back to the wrecked airplane, and there was an awful lot of hydraulic lines in there. So I got the tools out, and I'm taking this and taking that and taking that. I took more than I needed, but anyway, walking back and forth. And I fitted the threads into the oxygen bottle, and put it underneath. I dug a trench in the ground and outside and up into the barrel. I tapped it into the barrel, and I left the big bung open. And I said, well, I put gas in the barrel, and the only gas that we could get freely was 100 octane, which is good stuff. Come to find out, we got, I said, well, chimney, next is the chimney. So we had a whole bunch of 88 shells in the dump. So we cut off the heavy bottom, and of course, you could stack one on top of the other. We had 7 of them on the chimney over the big bung, holding down the stove. Okay.
Let me ask you a question now. When were you discharged?
Discharged September 45.
45, so
Yeah.
the war's over. You're back
Yeah, it
home.
was. Yeah. I was in Langley Field at VJ Day.
VJ Day?
VJ Day, yeah. Let's see, back to the chimney. I said, well, now is the time for testing the stove. So I opened the valve, a little bit of gas going in. I said, well, which one of you guys want to light a match and throw it in there? So one of them was brave and threw it in. It flamed up a little bit. And then eventually, not too long, it got heated. The pipe got heated, and the gas coming into the top was getting vaporized, and then it was coming down through and out the spouts. And I had 4 flames about this size coming up on the top of the stove. And it sounded just like an old-fashioned blowtorch. That kept us warm.
Did you have any brothers in the service?
I had one brother, and he was a aviation chief machinist mate in the Pacific.
Is he still alive?
No, he died last
Last year.
last year.
Last May. He was
Yeah.
90.
Are you proud that you're a World War II veteran, Ken?
Oh yeah.
Have people thanked you for your service over the years?
Oh yeah, lots.
How does that make you feel?
How does that make me feel? It makes me feel a little bit embarrassed sometimes. Sometimes they overdo it.
What does the American flag mean to you as a veteran?
As a veteran, well, I can thank my great grandfather,
Yeah?
who was in Washington's army at Valley Forge in Trenton, and he crossed the Potomac. No. Which one is it?
The Delaware, wasn't it? Delaware River?
That's it. He crossed the
I thought it was the Potomac. Is it Delaware?
No, they crossed the Delaware.
They crossed the Delaware.
Yeah.
across the Delaware, yeah, twice.
Twice.
Yeah. Washington went across first and started the camp. Then they come back across and they beat the Hessians in Trenton. Okay, that's when they.
So what does the flag mean to you?
What is the flag? It means an awful lot of liberty. You can do almost anything you want to do as long as it's legal.
Isn't that
You
the truth?
can do everything to better yourself.
I've only got a couple more questions. What should our country remember about World War II?
Everything. Everything.
You think we're forgetting about it?
The history books, World War II. 2 paragraphs in the history books. Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. I'm wanting to get this out firsthand from you guys before you're
Yeah.
gone someday.
Before we're gone someday. Oh, you haven't heard the best about the stove, though.
We're almost out of time.
That's one at a
Yeah.
time.
But seriously though, I mean, these stories need to be told before it's too late. And that's-
Before it's too late,
We
yeah.
spoke at Methuen High School yesterday, and we had a lot of kids there that were very interested, I believe, in
The young ones are,
Yeah.
but it's the ones that's after us. Our next generation, I don't know. I think they got thrown in a junk pile or something. But
Well, it's important, I think,
Yeah.
to record this history
Yeah.
and to share it with our kids today.
yeah,
Like
but
you
our kids today wouldn't believe what we did.
Well, you guys are all my heroes. I'm serious,
Yeah,
and I hope our kids can realize why we have the freedoms we have today.
yeah. A lot of them don't realize
Yeah.
that because when we used to meet other guys in our group, and they'd be not wanting to talk or anything like that. There, I said, if we didn't go over there and fight, you'd be either speaking German or Russian, or Chinese, or Japanese.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
That's the way. That's what a lot of it. A lot of it.
I'm
fell
going to
out.
ask you, Ken, at the end of my interviews, I always ask the veterans to give me a salute into the camera. When I ask you from where you're seated, can you do that for me?
Sure thing.
Just give me a second here. Okay, look right into the camera. Go ahead.